It's time for Mix It Up Monday, and this week we have a beautiful sketch. I forget who it's by, so I'll have that sketch and a link listed in my description below the video if it's available. And I will put it up in the corner here, or maybe just overlay it while I'm talking so that you can see the sketch. Now, if you have seen the sketch and you are looking, you will note that it has some strips of, could be patterned paper, could be ink, whatever you decide it's going to be. And I have decided to use this Pink Fresh Studios paper. I'm going to cut these strips out and use them on the page. But first I'm going to do a little bit of mixed media, and I brought in some packaging, Vicki Boutin stencil. This is some Vicki Boutin texture paste that I got in a recent Peachy Cheap deal. Palette knife, of course, and 2 shades of Distress Oxide that will hopefully match my paper well enough. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on the mixed media, and then I'll come back after it dries and I will have the strips of paper. My plan with these strips of paper is just to cut them out and use my Tim Holtz distresser to distress the edges and just line them up along the layout where I want them to go. I'm also going to use this adorable photo of my granddaughter when she was little. This little princess is now 8. This photo was taken in, I think, March of 2015. I'll have to verify my own records to see, but that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. First, I'm going to smush, I think I'm going to start with the worn lipstick. I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to spray some water, which I forgot to bring my water thing over here, so I'm going to grab that real quick. Thought I was all ready to go, and I wasn't. So I just used a mini mister that I keep on my desk where I normally sit and scrapbook. When I film, I don't film sitting down, which proves to be a little rough on my back. But anyway, I'm going to put my mixed media kind of around the edge like this. I've done this before and I like the look of it, so I'm going to continue with the worn lipstick. I don't usually use my ink pads like this, so in fact, I don't know that I've actually ever done that. A little more water on it this time. It was a little thick, which is fine. Mixed media is never precise when I do it, and I'm okay with that. I just like the look of the ink smushing and the texture piece on my paper. So the cardstock that I'm using is just some, I think it's 100-pound white core cardstock. I got it from Joann's. They had a sale this fall, and I went ahead and I bought a couple packages of it. I have discovered that it is just as good as the Vicki Boutin mixed media paper that you can get, the white ones. This is just as thick, and it holds up to mixed media just as well, and for a better price. Many of us are doing a no or low spend this year, and that is one way to cut costs in your budget. Sorry for the squeaking. I'm getting a paper towel. So I'm going to wipe off this ink on this side. I only brought one piece of packaging over here to play with. I'm also going to use some cracked pistachio on here, and hope I don't make a weird color, which is possible because I did not test these 2 colors out beforehand, because that's just how I roll. And again, I'm kind of paying more attention to the outer edges. I'm not going to do a whole lot in the center because the center is going to be covered with pattern paper, photos, and embellishments. I already said that I was using this piece of paper. This is actually from my Counterfeit Kit Club January kit. I have a blog post on my kit and that I will post below so that you can go and see it. I did not do a video this month for my kit due to time, and so if you want to get a look at what I put in my counterfeit kit, you can follow that link. I will pull embellishments, stamps, or anything else I choose to use on this layout from that kit. So now I'm going to go ahead and I know it's not quite dry, but I'm going to go ahead and do just a little bit of texture paste. Not going to put a whole lot, and then I'm just going to walk away and let the whole thing dry. I learned this little trick from my friend Kimberly at I'd Rather Be Scrapbooking. This is just a press and seal, and you put it on to keep it from drying out. I've had quite a bit of trouble with my texture pastes drying out after I open them, so I'm really thrilled to have a way to prevent that, because the stuff's expensive and I don't want it to dry out. I want to use it all up. So again, I'm not being real precise with this. I'm just putting some on here. I'm going to put it in 2 places here, and I think probably right here. I'm not going to put it all the way around. I'm just going to put it in a couple of places so that it peeks through my pattern paper and photo and embellishment clusters when I get them on here. So just to kind of give you an idea, this is not a hard technique if you're new to mixed media. Just playing with the texture paste, and if you make a mistake and you don't like what you've done, remember ladies, it's just a piece of paper, wad it up and throw it away. I'm gonna put my excess back in the jar, put my press and seal back on, and then I'm gonna walk away and let this dry. So we'll be back in a few. So now my background is dry, and I'll pop a picture up for you to see it real well, so that you can really get a good idea of what it looks like dry. I also will pop the sketch up here in a minute for you. And if you are looking at the sketch, you see that it is strips of papers, some journaling, a title, and 2 embellishment clusters. They used stars, and then they used some splatters. I went ahead and I cut down that paper that I showed you, and I've already distressed all of the edges. So I hope, this is the way this paper goes, I hope that I can get this on here and it look the way that I want it to look. So I am just going to kind of sit here and start laying things out. I did make some floral embellishments with some dies that I got. I got a Big Shot Switch Plus for Christmas, and it came with some free dies, and these are some of them that were in it. This is a mechanics magnetic bowl that I got at Harbor Freight. I like to put my dies in there. It keeps me from dropping small ones. And then here's the little flowers that I made. With those, I have already matted my photo, and I've chosen some embellishments from my CKC kit as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm just gonna kind of spread these little strips out in a little bit, and so I'm gonna start choosing the ones that I want to use. Now some of my strips aren't quite the length that I need, and you will notice that I will use 2 shorter ones and combine them to make one longer one, like I'm doing right there. It's gonna be hidden behind my photo, and I'm only doing that because of the way this pattern paper was. the longest one is like that green, those two green pieces, and a couple of the strips needed to be a little bit longer. I don't think I used as many strips as the sketch did because my papers were whiter, and that's okay. I think that the strips that I did use were enough, and it looks pretty good in the end as far as I'm concerned. I also was pretty pleased that I was able to keep most of my mixed media, especially the texture paste, where it can be seen in the finished layout. So I'm just going to start putting things down onto the page to give myself an idea of where I want things to end up. I am just tucking things behind and around on the page, moving things, just kind of eyeballing it at this point. Nothing is glued down, and in the end things do get moved around. Those wood grain hearts and flowers came from my forgery on the 4th at CKC, and you can see that on my blog post. I will post that link as well as the link to my kit so that you can see what I'm up to this month over at CKC. So I went off camera and I glued everything down. I ended up taking off the wood grain hearts that I created, but I kept the wood grain florals as centers in those light blue flowers on my layout. I also added they're stickers from Freckled Fawn that are made out of vellum that look like stitching. I liked the way they looked on those strips, and so I just added them to 3 strips. I kind of cut them here and there so that I could decide where I wanted them on the layout. I also am going to put a title that says, "Hello there, sweetie," and I'm going to use those Felicity Jane alphas that I purchased during their Black Friday sale that they had. It's not a really large set, and I think I'm going to end up having to use up all of them this month, which is kind of nice to not have to worry about having a lot of leftovers. So I'm just kind of fiddling around with the placement of the title, and I wasn't aware that they were going to stick as well as they did. Luckily, I was able to move it and get it just where I wanted. So I'm going to add a few little details to my layout here. I'm going to add some enamel dots around my embellishment clusters. You can see that I have already added some enamel dots to the centers of my flowers and a little bit of pen stitching on the wood grain flowers that I put in the lighter blue flowers. Those little chipboard cameras are a set of embellishments that I tried to find every single color of when they first came out, and I haven't been hoarding them. I have been using them, but I'm getting down to where I have very few left. Studio Calico put out cameras, geotags, stars, and hearts, I think is all that they had, and I bought every color I could get my hands on. I'm also going to add some splatters to this layout, and just to bring a little bit more depth to the page. I love the way the white splatters look on the dark letters and the dark paper, and it just kind of gives it a little bit more texture. Thank you for stopping by my channel today. If you liked my video, please click the thumbs up button. And if you are not a subscriber, I would love to have you subscribe. I try to interact with my subscribers every time they leave a comment on my videos, and I just thank you for stopping by today. My finished layout will show up at the end, as well as some detail photos. Have a great Monday. Bye.